to approach it from that angle. And so much of the work I did in the underlying extraterrestrial work was expanded upon in those 3 novels. And that's also led to some graphic novels I've done as well, ones such as Necromancer of Leng, and I think there's about 7 or 8 others. And again, for anybody that sort of picks up my work as a whole, they'll see that this all dovetails into each other, and it's a wider, much wider picture. But Keys to the Hoodoo Kingdom contains many of the practical aspects that people would find useful in gaining entry, not just to my work, but to that of Michael Berdio and that of the Voodoo Gnostic current itself. So my presentation at the Occult conference was titled The Voodoo Kingdom, and really it was split into 2. The first half was an introduction, again easing people into the subject matter, because especially in recent years it's become more pronounced, the sort of backlash against the whole idea of a British white guy talking about voodoo. It goes against all the sort of current norms. But my argument has always been, why should it? Because we've all lived different lives, we've lived different genders, we've lived different coloured skins. So to me, these things are irrelevant from a magical point of view. But I appreciate the modern concerns. And so the first part of my talk really talked about the origins of La Couvent Noire itself in Haiti, the Jean main family that were initiated into those mysteries, and in time initiated Michael Bertio in Haiti. That sort of gives an introductory picture into where this form of voodoo comes from. And then the second half of my talk, in a sense, was very much a kind of pathworking. What I wanted to do was take my audience back in time to Haiti in the 50s, particularly to the sort of folklore around the motor zobop, or the tiger zobop, which was a car that would be seen on the back roads of Port-au-Prince and in the Haitian countryside, full of cigar-smoking bockers or dark voodoo priests who would abduct people for their evil ways. But I wanted to tell it from the point of view of the motor zobop itself, of the car, because the car itself was possessed by a Papa Zobop. I wanted to give that unique point of view. There comes a point where the characters turn around and see that you're there with them, and they see you as a spirit. And this also goes to the notion of the Gay Day spirits of, they think we're the dead ones. They don't think they're the dead ones, they think it's us. And so in the pathworking, they turn and they see you. And they're like, "What? Who are you? You're dressed so strange, your haircut is so strange. What are you doing here?" "Oh, wait a minute though, if you're here, then you're here for a reason. There's something I need to tell you." There's a word, a phrase whispered into the ear of the participants in the room. And some people may hear that straight away. They may dream about it later. They may hear nothing. But the intention is that a seed is planted that allows that communication with the spirits to open up for them and to be beneficial. I was very keen that the talk wasn't just a talk, wasn't just me sharing some of my experiences or elucidating some of the the trickier aspects of the terminologies, but was also a way for people in the audience to be involved, because a talk in a room full of people is very different from the cloistered magical rituals of an occult order or other practices. It's a different audience, but it's still an audience that can be involved and still an audience that can find something beneficial in what you have to share with them, and that was my intent. So many people will first be introduced by my work, I think, from the art and the graphics. But I mentioned earlier and touched upon how art can be used in a sacred sense as an offering to the spirits. And I found some 10, 13 years ago when I first became re-engaged in this path that my own artistic abilities were woken up from slumber. I'd always drawn, always painted from being a child, but working with the voodoo spirits took this to a whole new level. At one point, There was a period where I was producing 7 or 8 images a night consistently for about a year or so, and building up this vast body of work, of artistic work, based upon sort of images of the spirits themselves, based upon what they were showing me in the spirit world. So yeah, art has often been a way into my work for people. I've got a number of patrons who, some of them have got original works I've done, and they value them for their spiritual power as well as their purely artistic, aesthetic values. And it's good to know that that medium can be used in that way for people. So music is a whole nother subject. I think in the same way that I spoke earlier about the voodoo Gnostic world encompassing different magical aspects, then I think the true expression of a magician will cover many facets. With myself, there's a prime example because I work with words, I work with pictures, but I also work with music. I've released a number of albums as the band Gothic, and more recent years a number just under my own name. And these vary really with my own influences. So as a teenager, my biggest influence was a guitarist called Jimmy Page from a little band called Led Zeppelin. And really the combination of everything with that band, and then later other bands like Black Sabbath, really appealed to me. And so I very quickly, as a teenager, learnt myself to play guitar, have been amassing instruments ever since. I hold no illusions, I am no great musician, but I do feel that I try and make up for that with passion. Those are some of the influences. Other big ones are some of the 80s Gothic bands, such as Fields of the Nephilim, The Mission, The Cult. I think, particularly with Fields of the Nephilim, because they had a very in-your-face sort of occult visual aspect, their lead singer Carl McCoy was very interested in the occult and created his own graphic design company to do the album covers, etc. for his band. And these had the kind of imagery that is reminiscent of Osman Spare's work, of sigils, of some of John Dee's Enochian iconography. And so again, as a teenager, I saw these symbols and recognized their roots. At the time, enjoyed the music as well, as I still do. The music I've made over the years, some of it I've released myself, some of it is available on Bandcamp, gothic.bandcamp, that's Gothic with a K, and SeanWoodward.bandcamp. And then others have been released on net labels, and also there was an occult label, Quartier 23 in Berlin, that released one of my albums as well. And these vary from sort of traditional song formats to instrumentals and to some kind of ritualistic, magical music type albums, mainly instrumental. Can be used for meditation and for path workings and for exploring some of the voodoo themes.